hybrid lighting.
Discover Mirrorless recommends the LED hybrid lighting solution from Quantum called the Omicron.
Hi there, it's Marlene Hielema from DiscoverMirrorless.com, and in this video blog post I'm going to be discussing a little situation I had with white balance. So the images that I'm going to be talking about today were captured at a large roller derby event in Calgary, Canada. Let me set the scene for you. I shot the event using my Panasonic Lumix GH3 and 12 to 35mm f2.8 lens. At the beginning of the day, I took a custom white balance setting. I kept the camera on manual mode for video as well as some of the stills, and I used shutter priority some of the time as well. I didn't use any of the creative, artistic settings of the camera. I kept everything evenly across the board. I did play around with my ISOs, and I even at one point put it up to 12,800 ISO. That's the highest that the Lumix has, and I was a little nervous to do that, but it worked out great. And I shot JPEGs. Now I'm using these clips to create hybrid eProducts, and I'm still experimenting with the workflow that works best for me. So every weekend I set off and I do something sort of creative and fun, and then I'm just working on my technique. So that's where these shots come in. So let me show you the photos, and then I'm going to tell you what some of the problems were that I had. Now I didn't have any problem really with the color in my video, but when it got to shooting at a fast shutter speed, what happened was when I shot in burst mode, so I shot several photos in a row, the color changed between photos. Now that kind of scared me because I had shot with a custom white balance, and when you use custom white balance and nothing changes in the inside of the camera, but your color changes, well, that's scary because that's not supposed to happen. So I spent a lot of time this week investigating this problem. I talked to my colleagues, I sent the photos to half a dozen people to say, like, what's going wrong here? Is it me? Is it the camera? Help. I eventually talked to a buddy of mine that is a photographer for the Olympic Oval. He used to actually be one of the official photographers there. And I asked him, you know, what's the white balance in that building? How do you handle that? And he just laughed out loud and he said to me, guess what? There are 4 different kinds of lights in that building: mercury vapor, fluorescent, halogen, and tungsten. So that color goes all over the place. So what was happening was when I was using a fast shutter speed, so the 1/800th or the 1/500th of a second, I was hitting the lights as they were flickering at different frequencies. Because as you know, like especially fluorescent lights aren't constant, they flicker. So if one photo was taken when the fluorescent light was on and the next photo the fluorescent light was off, well then the color is going to be different in those 2 photos, even though they're taken less than a second apart. So I was really happy that it wasn't operator error, because that would never happen, or that it wasn't the camera, because that would make me really sad because I just got this camera and I'm really happy with it. Anyhow, so if you are ever shooting in a situation where the white balance is changing between shots, you need to look up and find out what is the light source. If the light source isn't a constant light source, if it's a light that flickers, that has different frequencies, then you might run into problems. And you'll run into those problems at the higher shutter speeds, because at the slower shutter speeds, that light is all mixed together. And at the video shutter speeds, which were between 1/60th of a second and 1/200th of a second, at the video shutter speeds, that light was mixing together better. But at the fast shutter speeds, you are capturing just a little bit of the light that's being emitted by the lights. Well, thanks for watching this blog post, and I hope you learned something. I guess the moral of the story is if you're shooting indoors under artificial light, pay really close attention to the color that you see in your photos. If you'd like to keep informed about what's going on in the world of photography, especially mirrorless and hybrid eProducts, subscribe to discovermirrorless.com and don't miss another one of our fabulous blog posts. Thanks for watching. It's Marlene Hielema from discovermirrorless.com.
Hybrid lighting.
Discover Mirrorless recommends the LED hybrid lighting solution from Quantum called the Omicron.